People tend to compare supercars to works of art and worship them as such. From their finely sculpted lines to their superior engineering to the emotions they stir while behind the wheel, it's easy to understand why they inspire people so. And like fine art, the best supercars are all about the details. It has a 5-liter V8, like a Koenigsegg. It has leather bonnet straps, like a Pagani. It has lightweight body panels and a stripped interior, like a GT3 RS. It has an external speedometer, like an old muscle car. It has a big oil cooler, like a Corvette ZR1. It has a trunk-mounted battery, like a Bentley GT. It utilizes wood in its structure, like a Morgan. It has airplane-style switches like an Aventador and a fire suppression system, because from where we stand, this car is much more likely to catch on fire than any Ferrari ever built. What would it take for you to agree to test drive a car that makes nearly 400 horsepower, weighs less than a Mini Cooper, and was built by someone barely old enough to vote in their parents' driveway? If that sounds scary, that's because it is. If a car is the sum of its parts, then Corbin's first-gen RX-7 is a schizophrenic homeless man. It's ugly, dirty, weathered, and an all-around disaster. But, as often goes with these things, a car can be not only far more than the sum of its parts, but a brilliant representation of not only its creator, but also the environment in which it is created. And now it's time we meet this monster's creator, Corbin. He's only 19, but for the past few years has dumped every dollar he's earned delivering pizzas into his mischief mobile.
Well, it's what started out as a 1984 Mazda RX-7 with a 12A and an automatic owned by someone who's probably dead now. But anyway, I got in a ditch in Fresno for about $350, had to trailer it back, listen to Johnny Cash the whole way, and I decided that I needed something insane, something that would try to kill me at any opportunity. Life wasn't exciting enough. Anyway, so I decided it needed a V8 and something that I could really have fun in the canyons with, not care about, beat on mercilessly, and that would hopefully take it without breaking. The off-the-shelf components are trick flow heads, Edelbrock manifold, 24-pound Cobra injectors. What else do we have on there? DFI fuel rails, we have a Walbro pump going on, we have a Jegs radiator with a custom mount bracket. Half the stuff's custom. Some Volvo ducting to keep the air going through the radiator. What else do we have? BBK chromed long tubes, we have a CNL intake, a 70mm throttle body. We also have a K&N filter, a 65mm Thunderbird supercharged MAF, a T5 with an unsprung 6-plex cerametallic clutch, and a 12-pound aluminum flywheel with an ACT Stage 3 pressure plate that I didn't want, but is the only one they had, so I was like, whatever, send it over. Use the RE Speed coilover conversion kit, so it has adjustable height hats, 350-pound springs up front, 200s in the rear, Illumina 5-way adjustable dampers, full poly. I have a little burn mark. Yeah, you can barely see it from where I got molten rubber burning out the old bushings, because this car just beats me whenever possible. And also camber plates to top it off.
And if you'll allow me a minute, I'll explain why this rusted mess of a sports car is one of the best homebrew tuner cars I've ever driven. To start the car, clutch in, 3 toggles at the bottom for ignition and fan, then the second ignition switch, then you kick the starter motor, it fires, and then you have to shut the starter motor back off. Nice little shifter, actually. The e-brake works, that's good. Sunroof comes out, so I can actually fit. Sounds like a 5-liter Mustang. You know what? It runs great. Temperatures are good, the oil's good, all the gauges work-ish. So I'm showing a 7.3 on the fuel tank, which I think means I have fuel. It's running. He said, don't trust the tach, trust the motor. I'm not sure I trust the motor, but whoa! This thing is so sketchy.
tried to adapt as many of the stock instruments as I could. Unfortunately, the gas gauge was not well, it might have been adaptable, but I didn't want to figure out the resistances and how to wire it, so I just went to Harbor Freight, got a $7 multimeter, and hooked it in ohm style, you know, and that's hot rodding right there. You go to Michael's, you get some glow paint and a little brush. You go to Harbor Freight, you get some cheap multimeter. It's full, the gas gauge is full at 0, and it just gets higher in the numbers, and it fuel starves on left turns at about 70 ohms.
Well, this thing's a piece of crap, but it's a fast piece of crap.
It's a hot rod, and to get philosophical for a brief moment, what makes a hot rod? It has to have rebellion, in my opinion. And so there we have an offensive statement. And we also have free candy, which is, the cops don't like that one very much. And we also have pedo bear and a troll face. Basically, I didn't think it was making people angry enough. You know, you gotta troll on people with your car sometimes. And I think this has done a superb job now that I have jokes all over the thing.
And I mean, is there a more obnoxious place to drive this car than in the hills of Malibu, ruining these people's view, ruining their quiet and peace, and just with the ugliest, ricketiest, most obnoxious, best car ever. Okay, wait, oof. All right, I thought I was gonna die there.
Imagine for a moment that you're in a prison during a prison break. Now this is going to be chaotic, but now imagine all the prisoners are on PCP, and they all have knives, and it's almost that bad. It's not quite there. It's like the prisoners without the knives, you know? You go in, you're driving it, you turn, and it may understeer and you might die, it may oversteer and you might die, or you may be a total badass and get around the corner. You just kind of take it corner by corner, you know? It reminds you every day that you may die at any moment, especially while driving this car. That's what it's like to drive.
Something about this car makes you want to be just a total dick. I mean, like, what I love about Corbin is that with this build, 0 f***s are given. 0 f***s are given to the paint. You know, it's all a big joke. The whole car exists only for laughs. And it makes you laugh. I mean, whether you're driving it, whether you just see him drive by, whether he cuts a corner sideways at a zillion miles an hour, you gotta laugh at it. I will say this, as an experience, as a car that will keep you engaged, whether you're sitting in traffic or on the canyons or on the highway, this does provide far more thrills per hour than, say, a Nissan GTR, which, when driven at the limit, is amazing. When driven below the limit is boring. Never a dull moment here. While yes, this car terrified me on camera, not for lack of capability, rather for the potentially dire consequences of an otherwise small accident, something happened over the course of our drive. I got used to it. Once you understand how to manhandle it, the Mazda no longer becomes scary and transitions into a raw, sticky, and very capable Hoonmobile that would absolutely dominate a Lemons race if only it were cheap enough.
Well, if I had to put it in a dealer showroom, I would have put at least a $3,000 price tag on. I honestly think people would think it's worth $2,000. I mean, looking at it from the outside, it clearly doesn't look like, it looks like someone took an RX-7 and then just made it, you know, put some jokes on it and put some wheels on it, and that's not so far from the truth. But in reality, there's about $13,000 worth of parts alone, as many as I could get cheaply, and then about 2 years of labor, all of which I did myself. So if you value my time, which, you know, it's questionable, then considerable expense.
I think the most valuable lesson we've learned so far this season on Tuned is that cars are a reflection of their owners. Look at the Hennessy Venom GT. I mean, that thing is basically John Hennessy with 4 wheels. Frank's Crazy Lotus is an angry demon of death because Frank is an angry demon of death. Corey's drift car has naked zombies on it because this is a guy who walks around with his own face on t-shirts, and it's perfect. It reflects the owner. And Corbin's car, he wanted to go fast. He lives at home with his parents. He doesn't care what people think. More importantly, he wants to get a rise out of people in Malibu with all this money with his angry, fast, crazy RX-7. It has character coming out of every ghetto drilled hole in this car. And that's what I love about this car. This car is Corbin on wheels. See y'all next week.
Here you see low down, we have our Corbin special. It's the Aero plank. It's not patented yet, so you can't use this. Well, don't use this please until I get it patented so I can get money out of you. Well, you see, we here at Corbin Motors have done the finest testing in all conditions. We went up stunt road and then went down stunt road and repeated until the car could do it many times without braking. And it almost is there. We'll find out.